Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy what you're about to see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support means a lot. Let's jump right in. My mom told me that my daughter's nursery shouldn't be painted blue because it might turn her into a lesbian. My former co-worker once claimed that he spent a month in Antarctica during his college years doing research and had to constantly watch out for polar bear attacks. A teacher once told my daughter when she was in the 5th grade that dinosaurs never existed because, according to them, the Earth is only about 5,000 years old. This weekend, my 75-year-old neighbor confidently informed me that women are allowed to get an abortion up to 2 weeks after giving birth. He said this with complete certainty. My brother, completely ignoring the laws of physics, firmly believes that if he were ever caught in a tsunami, he could simply swim underneath it. We've both spent plenty of time in the ocean, surfed a bit, and experienced waves that completely knocked us over, yet he's still sure he could do it if he got the timing right. My science tutor once declared, "The Titanic was fake. The ship couldn't possibly be in the Pacific Ocean." My ex-husband was a horrible driver who managed to wreck every vehicle he owned, and then some. Despite this, he truly thought he was an amazing driver. One time, we were driving through a town with a 4-lane road, and he started switching lanes without noticing a car that was already there. I told him to stay in his lane, and luckily, he did. Later, he seriously claimed that if he had switched lanes and hit the other car, it would have been their fault for not honking their horn to warn him. Someone told me that installing a roundabout in town was a terrible idea because now they have to stop 4 times instead of just once, as they would at a 4-way stop. Someone insisted that the North Pole is the closest place to space on Earth. I once heard someone say, "I never wear a seatbelt." When I asked why, they replied, "Because if I'm in an accident, there's no way I'd be thrown to safety while wearing one." A nurse I used to work with once seriously asked why people couldn't just drive to Hawaii. She was completely serious, and honestly, I wasn't surprised when she didn't make it past her training period. I work in gynecology, and while I've heard countless incorrect terms for genitalia and numerous outrageous comments from patients, the one that always stands out is how often I have to explain to women that they don't have prostates. The most shocking thing I've ever heard someone say in seriousness came from my mother. She was driving me to her workplace where I planned to spend the day helping her. I can't even recall what led to this statement, but she said she thought the government should round up gay people and force them to either convert to Christianity or face death. To this day, it remains the most outrageous thing I've ever heard someone say in complete seriousness. Someone once remarked, "Wouldn't it be cool if we could see in 3D?" My cousin, who isn't exactly the brightest, was completely convinced that he could have unprotected sex with any woman because his girlfriend was already pregnant. He thought that since she was expecting, it meant he couldn't possibly get anyone else pregnant. She was absolutely adamant about wanting a handheld shower head that didn't require a hose because she thought hoses were ugly. I asked if she was referring to an overhead or wall-mounted shower head, as those don't use hoses. She said no and insisted that water should flow directly from the wall into a handheld shower head without a hose. After trying to explain that it wasn't feasible, I ended up directing her to another home improvement store. One of my co-workers shocked me during a conversation. I can't remember the exact topic, but I made a comment along the lines of, "It's as absurd as someone thinking the Earth is flat." To my surprise, he responded, "Well, it is." Another co-worker and I exchanged confused glances while the flat Earth believer began passionately defending his view as if he were presenting facts. We're engineers, for goodness sake. He spent so much money on his education and glasses to see the world this way. A co-worker of mine once fervently argued that the moon isn't real. At a previous job, outside food was only allowed for babies or medical needs. One woman brought a liter of high-end French sparkling water to mix with her baby's formula. She was completely serious. I had to explain why using sparkling water for baby formula was a terrible idea. That poor baby would have burped itself into orbit. Recently, I visited a market where a woman was selling incense she claimed could block 5G and Wi-Fi signals. A 30-year-old seriously asked, "Why do they call one side of the sun the moon?" He genuinely believed the moon was just the sun's other side. I overheard part of a conversation at the bus stop where a guy said, "The government is secretly burying people's corpses to stop earthquakes." Unfortunately, I couldn't catch the rest. Someone claimed the COVID vaccines were designed to turn people into 5G antennas. Did you know Slipknot wears masks because they're wanted criminals? A person told me this, and I wasted 15 minutes trying to explain that if they were criminals, they'd simply be arrested during their concerts. An American acquaintance once insisted that bears weren't dangerous to humans. He claimed all you needed to do if attacked was stick your thumb up its A, and the bear would instantly fall asleep. Sure, because a furious bear is just waiting for you to say, "Bend over." While performing an OB ultrasound on a patient, she expressed concern that the baby might chew through the umbilical cord. A man in the military told me the Caribbean coast was part of England because the characters in Pirates of the Caribbean had British accents. He clearly had no grasp of geography. The nurse at my child's elementary school confused allergies for pink eye. When I mentioned that the symptoms cleared with eye drops, she confidently told me that allergies are contagious too. My foreign ID card lists my date of birth as April 18th, 1995. Someone once asked me if my country had 18 months in its calendar. I was chatting online when someone asked if I had internet access. "Your English is so fluent. How long have you been learning it?" As an Australian, I replied, "My whole life." Someone once said to me, "Why do you care about who runs our country? It doesn't affect you." I'm pretty sure a global conflict like World War III would impact the entire planet, my friend. I've been asked multiple times if I live in a pyramid. I'm from Egypt. Someone said, "I didn't know Alabama had its own language," after I mentioned that I speak Albanian. As a German, I was once asked if we had good cars in Germany, like the BMW they happened to be driving. Someone asked me, "Wait, does it snow outside of America?" Just wait until they find out it snows in Africa too. She traveled to Europe. Which country? Europe? No, which country in Europe? The country Europe. Europe is a continent. What's a continent? Our sun is brighter than yours, someone once told me. I was asked if we have electricity in Germany. I jokingly replied that we power everything by running in giant hamster wheels. Netherlands. Isn't that where Peter Pan comes from? Him. You don't study U.S. history. Me. No, just like you don't study Chilean history. Him. That's different. We're an actual original country. I'm Spanish. Oh, which part of South America is Spain in? I'm European. I thought you said you were Spanish. Spain is in Europe. What's Europe? My grandmother took a cruise through Europe and came back complaining about all the foreigners. Like, you're the foreigner. Someone once said to me, "I have freedom of speech because I'm American. You don't. For context, I'm from Britain." She traveled to Europe. Which country? Europe. No, which country in Europe? The country Europe. Europe is a continent. What's a continent? Does gravity work the opposite way in Australia? Half of me was impressed they knew what gravity was, while the other half was baffled. Our sun is brighter than yours, I was told once. Him. You don't study U.S. history? Me. No, just like you don't study Chilean history. Him. That's different. We're an actual original country. A girl told me I was being insensitive for joking about the eruption at Pompeii. She claimed it happened in 2008, not 79 CE. I've been asked several times if I live in a pyramid. I'm from Egypt. Someone told me that the U.S. is the greatest country in the world because it's the only place where people can vote freely and express their opinions. Netherlands? Isn't that where Peter Pan lives? They asked if I had internet access while we were literally chatting online. Someone asked if we have electricity in Germany. I jokingly told them we generate power by running on massive hamster wheels. The closest I've been to Brazil was Spain last year, said a person who lives in Florida. I didn't know Alabama had its own language, someone remarked after I told them I speak Albanian. My grandmother returned from a European cruise complaining about how many foreigners were there. Like, seriously, she's the foreigner. An American once thought Canada was a third world country. They believed every country other than the US was third world.